Marketing Edge on TV is Nigeria's leading initiative in the business of brand management and in the management of brand business. It is a 30-minute wholesome package that comprises brand news, branding focus, and industry conversation, all in a mix, encompassing thorough and in-depth analysis aimed at promoting the brand idea. I am Bababumi Agbibi. Welcome to the program.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
We begin with brand news, where we bring you the latest developments around brands and in the field of marketing and advertising in Nigeria and around the world. First Bank and Eco Hotel teamed up this Easter to present The Juro, a bold new musical inspired by Wole Soyinka and Olarotimi's classics. Staged at the Eco Hotel Convention Center on April 18 and 19, the production offered a futuristic Broadway-style experience with cutting-edge design and music. The initiative aligns with First Bank's First at Arts program and Eco Hotel's ongoing support for cultural innovation. The Outdoor Advertising Association of Nigeria says the National Assembly is finalizing a bill to professionalize the out-of-home sector. President Shola Akinshiku confirmed the bill has passed key stages and stressed it won't affect the Advertising Regulatory Council of Nigeria, ACON's authority, which is limited to ad messages, not platforms. He said the charter will bring structure and technical standards to reduce chaos and losses from frequent billboard demolitions. Akinshiku added that OAAN supports ACON's licensing and insurance drive, with members already complying to safeguard advertiser investments. The Experiential Marketers Association of Nigeria, XMAN, has opened its call for entries ahead of its 2025 annual general meeting and awards for excellence. The awards will spotlight outstanding campaigns executed between January 2023 and December 2024 across various categories, including trade activations, shopper experiences, tech-driven engagements, and data-led campaigns. XMAN says the event is aimed at celebrating innovation and effectiveness in brand activations. Aniete Udo, Divisional Director of Marketing at Marketing Edge Publications, has been shortlisted for the 2025 Native Advertising Marketer of the Year Award, emerging as the only African finalist. The prestigious global awards, organized by the Native Advertising Institute, recognizes excellence in brand storytelling. Udo joins top names from Business Insider and Fortune Brand Studio on the elite shortlist. Next is Branding Focus after this break.
Every Nigerian mum knows everything is so expensive. Every naira needs to work harder. That's why I always go back to So Clean.
New So Clean with Snow Powder Tech. The powder is finer,
So it dissolves easier, foams faster, and cleans better.
every grain works for you. Nothing's wasted.
New So Clean detergent with Snow Powder Tech. Every grain works for you.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the brand idea.
Now, brand in focus. The rules of brand building are shifting as attention becomes the new currency in today's digital landscape. In a world driven by swipes, escapes, and scrolls, brands must now do more than be seen. They must be chosen. Experts say authenticity, consistency, and emotional connection are now key to earning consumer trust. With studies showing brand recognition can increase by 80% through color use and 88% of consumers valuing authenticity, the demand for real, relatable content is stronger than ever. Influencer marketing and personalization are rising as people trust people more than ads. But experts warn that attention alone is not enough, that brands must create meaning and stay present in culture and community to thrive. In this new era, it is not just about the loudest voice, but the most intentional one. Brand building begins with attention and ends with trust. That was Branding Focus. Next is Industry Conversation, where we discuss with industry thought leaders who have distinguished themselves and have made tremendous impact in their chosen field. My guest today is the General Manager, Yanga FM and Max FM, Marvin Arimi. Join us after this break.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
On Industry Conversation today, we have the General Manager, Yanga FM and Max FM, Marvin Arimi. Hello, Marvin.
Hi, thank you for having me in your show.
Glad to have you. How would you assess the current landscape of the radio industry in Nigeria?
It's a slippery one. It's so far, I think, because we've had so many radio stations existing now. It has been a little bit tough, for most radio stations to survive, because everyone is pulling from the same resources, the same well, and so now the competition is now extremely tough. So you have to actually have maybe think out of the box, be innovative, to just do something different for you to be able to survive. You understand? So it is dicey, but we're surviving.
How can new entrants navigate this industry?
Well, like I said, you have to be innovative. You have to have something new and different. It's I think that's just what it is, because you need to first and foremost say, what am I coming to give that doesn't exist already? And for example, for us, that was one of the things we decided to do, to say, if we want to have a pidgin station, there are pidgin stations everywhere, how do we stand out? And it was a huge collective decision by the management, the CEO and everybody, to say, okay, you know what, why don't we do something that doesn't exist? Why don't we come in and fill, a void and something that people are missing? And we understood that, we realized that for the young people, there hasn't been any pidgin station, for them. All the pidgin stations have been, for grassroots and the like. So we decided to come up with something. So that's how we hope to survive, So basically, that's just what it takes.
So Yanga Radio, Yanga FM is just for the young?
It's not just for the young, okay, but it is something that we had to cater to the young people as well. Okay. All of the other pidgin stations will do local, strictly grassroots. And then we realized that there are young people who are urban, who are hippy, who love pop culture, but they would want to do it in their own language. And again, pidgin is now a global language. If you were at the launch, you hear the CEO mention that in her speech. Pidgin is now a global language, so everybody across the world wants to learn, this language that we didn't really care about that much, So we felt like, since this is now becoming an international language that everybody wants to learn, how do we now, come up with a radio station that connects with this, basically, with the young people, with the old people. In fact, even the old people are Gen Zs at heart these days. So it's basically for everybody. But this time we have a whole lot for the young people as well.
Now, there are times when you just wake up and you think radio has served everything, but then sometimes you just find that new things keep coming up. So what are the untapped opportunities in this industry?
So there is, it kind of looks like there's not many, but you just have to find, and that's where the work is. Do you understand? Like I mentioned, we wanted to come up with a pidgin station, but that existed already. So what doesn't exist? So we needed to sit back, calculate, think, we did our own feasibility studies, ask questions, and then realized that, okay, we could do something for the young people. I'm sure that's just basically what it is. Just be creative and innovative. Innovation is basically what wins it now. You can always come in and succeed, but you have to find what's not there. And it's not easy. That's the tough part, for you to find what's not there, and then just try to apply that to your format.
So what are some of the challenges that a new radio station will face?
A lot, from financials, money is one big hurdle. When you're new, you're not making any money, Even some of the older radio stations are also struggling with that, let alone a new radio station. So funding is one. Secondly, because it is overly saturated, there's just a radio station in almost every street these days. So you now have to first and foremost find your way, and that could take a while. You understand? So if you're not innovative, you're not creative, you probably just be in the mix, and you don't know how long that will take you to survive. So one of the biggest challenge is funding. And you're new, you're not making any revenue, you don't even know how long it's going to take for you to make to start making revenues and all of that. So that could be a challenge, because you have to pay staff, you have to keep the business going. And right now everybody wants to do a 24-hour radio station. That means you have to have diesel, you have to pay for light, and all of these things right now are not cheap. So that is one major challenge.
The challenge of funding, that's something many people can relate to.
Absolutely.
And now we have the emergence of social media,
right.
Mobile phones that are now competing with radio.
Absolutely.
Those days radio used to be the major thing.
Yeah.
People listening to radio was the number one form of communication.
Yeah.
Now, how can radio reset its force as it used to?
You're right. Social media is good, but for radio it's damaged. A lot, because the generation that we are in now, it's everybody's so quick. Nobody has time to relax and listen. They just want to flip. But the good thing is that radio still stands. Radio stands because what you have with radio, you can't have it anywhere else. So you can have both digital, incorporated to your programming. You can have a podcast, and radio, So if you can make your radio station, a digital station, you can as well compete. You understand? It's not going to be easy, and these are some of the, costs that we'll talk about, because that in itself, you have to get equipment, you have to get cameras, you have to get internet, all of that. But if you're able to pull through with that, then you can compete. Yes, it's different now, but with proper creative programming, and just join them in the whole digital space, we survive. And that's one thing we are big on now. We have a radio station that is visual, so you can listen and you can hear us. So if you say, oh no, I just want to listen to a radio station, we're like, oh yeah, we're on your face. Open your app, we're there. Open your YouTube, we're there. So whatever the complaint is, we have it. You want a podcast? Oh, you look at our studio, very big. We have a couch, a podcast setting. So we're doing everything in one.
The emergence of digital technology, don't you feel that takes the spice away from radio, where people those days, they don't see the presenters and then you're just connected with the voice?
Yeah, the whole mystery.
Yeah, don't you think that's taken away the mystery? That's the word.
It has taken away the mystery. I don't think there's, in fact, right now, nobody wants that mystery anymore, especially if you're in radio, because the more your face is out there, the better for you. It's just how the world has, become. Everything now is being seen. People want to see who they're talking to, who they're communicating with. And so you just have to go with the flow. The world itself has changed, So there are a lot of things that didn't used to happen, they're happening now. But what can you do? You just have to adapt. And I think that's what radio is doing now.
Now, I want to go back to social media.
Great.
Does social media help in promoting radio in any way?
It does help in promoting radio.
How?
So everything is on social media. Being on radio, for example, we have an app and we have a website, right? You don't have to go into your car and put on your radio. You don't have to put on your radio set at home. You can actually be lying down on your bed and just click on the Max FM or Yanga FM app, and then you're listening. Or you could just go to our website and you're listening. So that has helped, So before now, people would be like, oh, I have to go put on my radio set, or I have to get to the car to listen. Well, I don't have that time. Let me not listen to them. But if you're in your bedroom, you can listen to us. If you leave Lagos, for example, and you're in Port Harcourt and we don't have a coverage there, it doesn't matter. You can just bring out your phone and you listen. Even if you're in the US, for example, we have people calling us from US, the UK, they listen to us and they listen via the app. or website. So that has helped. It has even taken it further, and even further.
In funding, I'll go back to funding, and I want to understand the relationship between radio and Advertisers Association in Nigeria.
Okay.
Is there a blend? Is there a balance?
But there has to be.
Is there a good relationship?
Well, it's like it's a relationship that has to be good, whether I like it or not. Whether I like it or not, because they are the backbone, of Radio Survivor, the advertising agency, and radio. I think we connect very well. You can't have one without the other. It has to be, we have to have that kind of relationship, because if you have the ad and you have the client, where are you going to put it? You understand? If I have a radio station, I have the transmitter, and I talk all day, I'll need that also to come in so I could be able to pay salary. So it's a friendship that we don't even want to see the bad side. It has to be good.
So there's this general belief that the regulatory bodies, regulation in the industry, tends to restrict creativity. So how would you say radio is working around regulations to still maintain creativity?
Regulation will always be regulation, and there are a lot of times we might not like them. Though sometimes I think one of the good things about NBC, for example, is that they allow people to have this conversation. There's sometimes we'll have this conversation, and they've changed a couple of stuff, in the past. Is it stifling creativity? I don't know, maybe to a certain extent it is, but there has to still be some form of regulation one way or the other. And I think so far we've been able to manage it. We've been able to really manage it. We've been able to survive with that, and it's been working well.
What are your thoughts about building and driving business growth in radio? Your personal thoughts. What do you think would drive business growth? You just sit down and then you think this and this and this will bring a 100% growth in business.
First thing first, you have to get your format right. I don't like it when people, for radio now, when people just put up a radio station and then you just copy another radio station, completely. With that, you're not authentic, so you have to be authentic. You have to get your format right. And again, radio is big on personality, so having the people that can actually tell the story, because not everybody is a good storyteller. Some people might just say, oh, let's just put anybody, behind the microphone. And you have to be able to have storytellers, people who can actually just, capture that, those people outside that would want to listen, because there's just too many radio stations. Why would I want to listen to you? Something has to click for me to sit down and say, oh, I love this guy, I want to listen. So personality is big. Having a proper format is also very huge, and consistency.
In my own opinion, I feel we're having a dwindling level of professionalism when it comes to today's radio. How would you describe that level of professionalism?
So I'll put that down to our institutions. Yes.
When you say institutions, educational institutions?
Educational institutions,
okay.
Yes. I've been to some schools recently that whatever they're teaching is outdated.
Oh.
Yes, I've been in a class where they were teaching radio, for example, and I was like, this doesn't exist, So a lot of the institutions are still, at the moment, teaching what doesn't exist. And so when these guys comes out, they're shocked, because we're in a digitalized era, and some of these people still teach things in analog, and these things doesn't exist. So, and again, a lot of also because of radio doesn't really pay. that much. You know, I remember in the past they'll tell you radio is passion and all of that. These days, a lot of the younger people don't care about passion that much. You know, if this passion is not bringing in enough,
can't pay bills,
pay for me to be able to take care of myself, pay my bills, take care of my family, then I don't want to do it. So I've seen a lot of people in universities, for example, that will go study mass communication, but they will never end up in either radio or TV. You know, so we have, and this is almost fact, we have more people in the media industry, especially radio, right now that didn't even study radio. So a lot of them would learn, you know, as they go. So I guess that's one of the reasons. So if we have to get that right, it has to look interesting to these guys from school. You know, it has to really be enticing one way or the other, and maybe in terms of remuneration has to also change, because that's also really poor, you know, as regards the media. So it's like, for example, you study marketing and someone else studies mass communication. Trust me, the marketing guy will probably come in and, you know, get a different. So people tend to go to, let me just go to the marketing and then I'll go to the bank or I'll go here. So, but it's changing. At least there's some companies are changing that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very proud of what TVC Communication is doing. You know, this is one company that doesn't really discriminate as regards those kind of things. If you're an OAP, you get, you know, what's worth, and I hope every other station will tend to follow suit, and I guess with time it's going to be interesting again.
Do you think talent is enough to show up?
Talent and hard work. There has to be hard work, you know, because you can be talented, you come on your show and you don't prep. That would kill you, basically, on air, you know. So even if you're talented, you need to also put in the work. You need to be able to prep for your shows. You need to be able to, you know, do research and all of those things. So there are a lot of people who are talented, but then their talent make them feel a lot too confident, you know, overly confident, and then they come on the air and then they blab, you know. So talent without hard work too is so they work hand in hand.
Aside Pidgin and being an urban radio station, you also talked about the young people. So the presenters Yanga Radio would have, how would you describe the demography of the presenters?
So they're urban, first off, and so we have a lot of Gen Zs as well as a lot of mature presenters as well.
Yeah, okay, so you say Gen Zs.
Yes.
So what about millennials?
Oh, so yeah, so I think millennial, anybody that's like 35 is a millennial, I guess. You know, maybe I'm getting that wrong, but yeah, we have a couple of people. So I think it's been a proper blend. You know, we have the people who are into pop culture properly, and then we have experience. It's a mix of experience and youth. You know, so we have Wale on Waiting Day, for example, who is a, you know, we're more than a millennial. You know, we have Ejiro, for example, who's obviously a millennial. We have Awolo, who is a Gen Z. So we have people across generations, if that's the word to use, the right word to use. So yeah, we have a good blend of the people we need, you know, to push this brand.
So I'm a bit concerned about radio stations, the rise and sometimes the fall of radio stations, and sometimes feels because they don't connect with the modern day kind of communication and relationship, interpersonal relationship. Now, Yanga Radio is urban pidgin. How relevant do you think this will be? Does this have a lasting ground? Looking at today's the young people, Gen Z, who just want to speak, gonna wanna English. So how relevant will this be?
So I think we have very good examples. Nollywood, when Nollywood started, look at how far it has come. Still there, still lasting. And it's a movie industry that was created for us. And we loved it, and not just us, even people around the world. At first, it started with Africa. Africa embraced it, you know, and then Afrobeat started. We loved it. We had to do away with some of the international music and all of that. We had to stick to our own. Two-Face, the band, you know, down to Wizkid and Davido and co. So Nigeria's population is youth. You know, I think over 60% young people, and that's going to stay like that for a long time.
Marketing Edge on TV, promoting the bright idea.
That's the much we can take on today's episode. Join us again next week when we shall have the concluding part of the conversation with the General Manager, Yanga FM and Max FM. I am Bababumi Agbibi.